What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Excited to be here with you all tonight for our live. And want to start off by providing an apology because obviously this was supposed to be happening a lot earlier. But when I tell you that all the challenges and all the uh, issues that we could have ran into, those things did happen. And for a moment there, it almost prevented me from doing this and just putting up a post to let you all know that that the date was going to be changing or that it wasn't going to be going forward tonight. But I really do, I really do appreciate and want to shout out my amazing wife for the encouragement, for um, just reminding me of what it is that we're doing and why it's important that we move forward. And that is really the reason why I'm here. The reason why I'm showing up is because of what I believe in. It's because of how important it is, and because it matters. And so, if you all can hear me, I see some people that are coming in. But if you all can hear me, okay, um, please just let me know. I'm looking forward to interacting with you all tonight, and just sharing with you all. And I really want to start this off just by talking about why it's important for this conversation to move forward, and it's because of the impact that it's had on my life, and the impact that it's had on the lives of countless other people too. And I believe that the challenges and everything that I have and we've experienced in the process of launching, the process of building this, has been one of those things where those attacks to where it's like it's trying to keep us from moving forward. It's trying to keep those individuals that will benefit the most from this from receiving it. And for a moment tonight, I almost gave into that for a moment, but here we are, pressing forward, and here we are, sharing. And so, since we are later, I want to make sure that I go ahead and share the information with you all that I promised, and that we dive into the conversation that we're diving into tonight. And so, with that being said, tonight is all about one thing, and that is answering the question: is your environment setting you up to succeed, or is it setting you up to fail? And do you know exactly how to determine whether it's not? I think a lot of times when we think about environment, when we share this, the context that we're speaking about is are the spaces, the people that surround your life, whether you're in a relationship, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's the work environment, wherever you spend the most time, the culture and the norms that you have surrounding you, all those environments, ones that are conducive to you succeeding, are their environments that aren't really aligned in order for you to be able to succeed in all things you do. And with that being said, I want to kind of dive into exactly what am I going to be sharing with you tonight? What is the promise that I have? And my promise is this: is that by the end of the night, that you will be able to answer these questions right here, and that is: does your environment that you do the things the way that you do them best? When you think about you operating your best, when you think about you doing things in a way that only you can do them, does your environment let you do those things that way? Second question we're going to answer is: does your environment keep you involved in the things that actually matter to you? When I think about this, is like, are you engaged in the things that truly bring you life? When you think about the things that fire you up, the things that excite you, the things that bring you the most energy and passion and drive to your life, are you involved in those things? And the third question is: does your environment let you focus on what's most important to you first? And those are the questions that we're going to be answering as it relates to: is your environment setting you up to succeed, or is your environment setting you up to fail? And by the end of the night, you all will be able to answer that question. So we're going to get started. And we're going to start here, which is understanding the framework or the foundation that all of this was built on. And it's three or four components, which is your environment, your belief, identity, and behavior. And the foundation of everything that you believe and the way in which you show up was built upon the environments that you grew up in, whether it's your family, your friends, your first boss, the things that became normal to you, would establish what was normal to you. That's the foundation. And based on what you were exposed to, those things begin to shape your view and your thoughts of what's normal. When I think about my family, like my family is a very big family, number one, very loud, very outgoing. And there are some things that are very normal to our family that may not necessarily be normal to somebody else's family. And because of that, maybe if they were in our family environment, they may think, oh man, I think they should maybe do something a little bit different or whatever the case may be. But it's all based on what you've been exposed to. And based on what you've been exposed to, you start to develop these beliefs about the world. And these beliefs begin to frame what you view as right and also what you view as wrong as well. And whatever you view as right, whatever you think is the way in which you should show up, that begins to shape your identity. It begins to form, okay, this is who I am based on what I believe. And not only does my identity impact the way in which I show up, it also impacts how I believe others should show up as well. And when it comes to the behavior that we show in whatever environment that you're in, whatever situation that you may be in, that behavior that you have is one that you believe is the right one. I don't think anybody does anything that they do not believe is something that they should be doing. And so when you show up in a way that is challenging to someone else, it's challenging to them because they have a different view of what is their right way. And the reason why that's the case is because they grew up in a different environment and they have formed different beliefs and they have a different identity. And the way in which they believe about what is right and the way in which they show up is a little bit different than what yours is. And because of that, these things create this friction and they create challenges. But we have to understand the foundation that all of this is based upon. Your environment, develop these beliefs. And these beliefs are the ones that you believe are the right way to do things. And that informs your behavior. That's probably the reason why you've actually had to apologize for something more than one time. I know me, I've had my share of apologies for maybe it was a heated debate. And I raised my voice a little bit because I got overly passionate about it. And I apologize. But if we were to have that same conversation again a week later or 2 weeks later, I'm more than likely going to approach that the same way again. Why? Because the way in which I believe about that thing doesn't change in 2 weeks. Because what I said the first time is something that I believe that was right. And so what I believe to be right doesn't change in 2 weeks. And so now that's why we continue to have the same issues, the same challenges, and the same interactions over again. And that's the source of the frustration. And so when we think about that, that environment that we talked about there that formed everything, that is your foundation. All those past environments that you had. And when we talk about the work that we do, there's 3 particular environments that we're talking about. You have the environment that formed the shape, that was the foundation for all of those beliefs that are happening, and how you develop what you would determine is your right way of doing it. And then you have your current environment, the people, the places, the work environment, the relationship. These are all things that comprise your current environment. And the gap right there is the difference between your current environment and your ideal environment. So what exactly is the ideal environment? This is the environment that you need in order for things to go in the way in which you desire for them to go. In order for you to show up as your best. When we think about creating a space that allows for you to be your best, that allows for you to thrive, that is your ideal environment. if the world was centered around you and around you only, that would be the environment that you would be in. But since it's not, you have people that have different beliefs. You have people that may think a little bit differently, and there's some friction that comes up, and that gap between your current environment and your ideal environment, that is where all the challenges, that's where they lie. And for us, we want to be able to identify, well, just how wide is that gap? Like, exactly how wide is it? Am I close? Am I really, really far off? Like, if you don't know exactly how wide that gap is and how to determine where the gap is and what are all the factors that go into it, then you'll start to just blame the people or blame a lot of other things that are going on. But this right here tonight is really focuses on identifying exactly what the problem is. And so there are three dimensions that we really utilize in order to identify what exactly is your ideal environment and how do you determine exactly what is it that sets me up for success. And we utilize three assessments in order to determine that. The first one is the DISC assessment, and that one is all about doing things the right way. And when I say doing things the right way, there's a how you like to make decisions, how you like to interact with people, how you like to go about your day. Whether you're someone that is very structured, you have a plan for everything you do, or maybe you're someone that doesn't really plan things. You like to kind of fly by the seat of your pants. So you like things kind of outside the box. Like there's a certain way in which you like to go things. If the world was centered around you, this is how everything would be done. And when we say doing things the right way, the question is like, are you allowed to do things the right way? And when you think about the other people that are around you, do you feel like those individuals that are around you, they're doing things the right way according to how you believe they should be done? There are some people that are very particular about their environment and have everything set up in a certain type of way. And if you were to go to move something on their desk or something around, they'd be like, wait a minute, why would you do that? Like, why would you just come and move something? Because it was out of place according to you. But according to that person, it was exactly where it's supposed to be. There are little small nuances and things like this that happens all the time. And we may wonder why somebody was so frustrated about that. We're going to dive into that. Second one is all about your passions. And this is the values assessment. And what it focuses on is, are you involved in what actually matters to you? When you think about the things that you're most passionate about, the things that when you think about, if I could do anything, these are the things that I would be doing. Do you find those things showing up in your environment? Or do you find that that environment is a place to where these things really aren't the things you want to do? These are the things that you are allowed to do. These are the things that other people want you to do, but at your heart of hearts, you're not really locked in on what you would like to be doing. And the last one is focused on what's most important first. This is the attributes assessment. And with this one, it's all about how you process and prioritize and make decisions. And there are certain things that matter to you, and you need to address those things first before you're willing to move on in the conversation, or before somebody can just say, hey, we're moving forward. And this, you're like, no. We really need to address this part right here. And so that's all about being focused on what's most important first. And all of us have a certain order that we prioritize things. And so with that being said, your environment is either honoring these things, all three of these, or it's either taxing you. And we all know what taxes are. I don't know about you, but I don't like paying taxes. I don't know if you like paying taxes, but most people don't. But the reality is that if your environment isn't structured in a way that allows for you to thrive, then you are paying this tax. And so let's talk about what exactly they are. Right here we have my DISC assessment. I wanted to actually share my information with you all so you all could actually see what exactly does this look like. And so the DISC assessment, what it reveals is how you prefer to operate in your environment. Right? So when it comes to making decisions, communication, interacting with people, when it comes to your pace of life, or being someone that is detail oriented, every single one of you all have a certain way in which you operate like this. And so maybe you're someone like me in the D area that is someone who's very decisive. As you can see in the natural column right here, from the natural and the adaptive, my natural numbers for decisive are 81, which means I'm someone that handles problems and makes decisions in a very fast way. I like to get tasks, get things done ASAP. When it comes to the I, which is the interactive and how we socialize, mine is a 99, and that shouldn't be surprising to anybody. I'm a social butterfly. I love being around people, interacting with people. I get energy when I'm around people, but some people are drained when they're around people. And so now that's someone that does it a little bit differently than I do. When it comes to the S, is all about stability and how you prefer your pace of life. Are you someone that operates based off a calendar? Are you someone that prefers for things to stay the same? Or do you prefer for things to change? And that's the difference between someone who is high in the S category versus me. My number is 46. That means that when someone is waking up hoping that things stay the same, I'm waking up and hoping things are different. And the C column is cautious, which is all about how you handle established procedures and protocols. And some people are very detail oriented, very particular. They're very much so, dot every I and cross every T before they move forward type of people. As you can see, with my number being 25, I am not, I'm not a dot every I and cross every T type of person. I'm someone that likes to color outside the lines. If if the speed limit is 55, I may be asking, well, who set the speed limit at 55? And so now when it comes to how I'm wired, my natural way of doing things is that 81, 99, 46, 25. But since the world isn't centered around me, my adaptive shows how do I start making changes in my environment to adapt to the people that are in it. So instead of me naturally making decisions as fast as I do, I have a 32 point drop off in the speed or the rate in which I start making decisions. And so now when it comes to me and the way I want to do them, I want to make them fast, but I'm not making decisions as fast as I want them. So when it comes to me answering the question, am I allowed to operate the way that I naturally want to operate? According to this, I'm not. I'm not able to make decisions at the pace that I want to make them. Why? Because not every decision that is a part of my life is centered around me. So now what am I doing? I'm now adjusting, right? I'm now adapting. When it comes to interaction, you see there, for my adaptive, I'm 8 points down. So that means that what? Not really much changing with that. But in the stabilizing area, you can see that there's a 29-point difference right there between how I would naturally do things and how I'm adapting. What does that mean? That means that I have to, even though I'm someone that's already likes to move at a pretty fast pace of life, the way that my schedule and life is set up, that pace of life isn't even allowable right now. That I'm literally every single day, it seems like this right here. I wake up, and as soon as I wake up, my feet hit the ground. And if I'm being 100% honest with you all, it may be 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes before I stop. Why? Because that is the pace of my life right now. Is it what I desire? No. So if I'm answering the question, am I operating at the pace of life that I desire? The answer is no. When it comes to being cautious, that means that I'm already, like I shared with y'all earlier, I'm already someone that doesn't, I'm not checking everything 400 times to make sure it's right. Like I much rather, get things done. But what this is saying that even that, I have to move at a faster pace of life, or I even have to be less detail oriented than I already am in order for me to just kind of make it through what I'm doing. So now when it comes to me showing up, there may be some mistakes that I make because I haven't, been as thorough as I should have been, because I had so many things that I had to take care of. And so now I start showing up in this way that's not according to how I prefer to do things, and it's just how I have to do things. That's the preference tax, right? And so what exactly is the preference tax? Is this. My environment needs to give me this. My environment needs to give me freedom to move. It needs to give me people to engage, new problems to solve, no one standing between me and progress. That's what I want. But since it's not doing that right now, that is currently the tax that I am paying. So when it does do this, I'm at my best. But when it doesn't, I spend more energy becoming someone that I'm not, adapting to how things have to be versus how I want them to be. So with that being said, my question here is like, when you think about your life, when you think about how things are they going how you really want them to be going? Like if you could just think about whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's with your friends, whether it's with your family, are things going how you want them to be going? Can you answer that question clearly? And if they're not going exactly how you want them to be going, my friends, you are paying perfect tax. And the only way to know how much that tax bill is, you have to understand what exactly is your DISC information. And the assessment allows for you to identify that. Let's move on to the second question that we're asking. So actually, I want to pause. So I'm actually going to rewind back a little bit. I actually want to ask you all that question. Like, are you all doing things how you all would like to be doing them? And if you're not, like, is there a particular area that I shared a moment ago to where you say, hey, this is probably the area to where, I'm adapting the most, or this is the area to where I see probably the biggest, gap between how I want things done and how I have to do them. And I'd love to be able to interact with y'all. I'm able to see the comments if you all share them. And so, so if anybody would like to share that, I would love to be able to hear back from you. How are you adapting as it relates to that? Let's see if I see anything coming in. Well, drop it in the chat if you if it does come up. But we're gonna move on for the sake of time because I want to make sure that since we are later, that we are getting through all the information. The second one is all about passion, which are your values. These are the things that drive you. As you can see, what my top motivators are. This is when you're the most engaged. When you think about doing things that are engaging to you, doing things that are exciting to you, this is what identifies what those things truly are. And if I'm being honest, there are times to where I couldn't answer this question about like what truly, am I excited about? Like I could find myself always in spaces or always in certain careers or certain roles, but if I knew what the real reason why I gravitated to those things, I wouldn't have been able to answer that for you. And so when your environment asks you to pour your energy into the things that like don't matter to you, that is the thing that is draining you. And so with the values assessment, there are 7 values that is based on. You have aesthetic, economic, individualistic, political, altruist, regulatory, and theoretical. And you can see a short definition of what each one of those means. And as you can see, mine right here are to the left. And so I just share mine as an example. My aesthetic isn't very high. So when it comes to being passionate about harmony and balance in life, that doesn't matter to me. That's why I can wake up early and stay up to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and then wake up the next day and do it. Now, my wife, she's completely different. Her, I don't know how high hers is, but her aesthetic is like pretty crazy high. And so now if I'm trying to have my wife, which at one point in time, that was what was going on, to where I'm like, babe, I want you to, kind of like operate on my rhythm and things like that. And like, I saw my wife at a point in time, like, it's like completely like, you could see like she was withdrawn, and you could see like things just weren't going the way that she desired for them to be. And we're having conversations about what's going on. And like, we didn't have an answer. It was just one of those things like, man, I don't really know, which is one of the reasons why not only her, but I went down this journey too, because it's a point in time where I was like, man, I feel like, man, something was off. I feel like, man, life wasn't, kind of going the way I wanted to be. And I couldn't really put my finger on exactly what was wrong. And when we found out about this thing called the Advanced Insights Assessment, when we went on this journey of being certified and actually utilizing this in the work that we do, like it created so many answers to questions that we didn't have answers to. And so now when my wife is like, hey, I'm tired, it's like, babe, go to bed. Like, get you some rest. Like, that is what she needs. I'm no longer trying to like force, a square into a round peg, because I know that right there isn't going to be something that excites her. That isn't going to be something that she's going to be able to do for a long period of time. And so I focus on my three highest ones, which are the altruist, the political, and also the economic. And when you see like my numbers here, you can see these are the things that drive me. And so I dive a little bit deeper into it. So what does that mean for me? My environment, from an altruist standpoint, it needs me to connect with people. Like if you see the definition over here, altruist is all about what? It's all about serving. It's all about being able to help people. And so when you connect those two things, what I need to be serving. So that's why I worked in education. That's why I've mentored. Like when I think about all the things that I've been able to, do within my career, it makes a whole lot of sense, like why I've been in those roles and why I've gravitated to them. From a political standpoint, this is all about, from an individualistic standpoint, this is all about being able to have freedom to do things in a certain type of way and being able to influence lives. And so this is my information right here. And so when my environment allows for me to do these things, guess what? I'm fully engaged. I'm on cloud nine. But when I'm not involved in those things, like I feel like something is off. Like a place in me is missing. It's like something is going to die. And I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like it feels like everything's off. Like you've lost your North Star. Like I have to be in a position to serve. I have to be in places that allow me to be able to do things in my own unique way. That's why entrepreneurship is a thing that actually aligns with me. Because what, like you're able to have certain flexibility and able to create programs and things like that based on the way you desire. And so now when I see that I've been in entrepreneurship now for, 12 years, like it makes a lot of sense why I've gravitated to that. But when I first started entrepreneurship, I would say it was all about, being able to start a business to where I can actually serve people and I can, push this message forward. And the reality is that there was something else underneath that was driving that decision back there 12 years ago that I was not aware of, that I'm now more aware of now. Do you know all the things that are driving your decisions? Can you identify exactly where they are? Do you know all the reasons why you feel drained in your job or in your leadership role or in your marriage or in your home or in those family dynamics? Are you able to identify what's off? And is it potentially something that you should be involved in? There's something that you should be doing, and you haven't done that in a while. You haven't made that thing a priority, and since you haven't made it a priority, it feels like things are off. The thing we need to identify here as it relates to is your life, is your environment setting you up to succeed, is that this is not a good thing to have in your life. Like this is not, oh man, it would be a great idea if I served some people, or it'd be a great idea if I made decisions in a fast way. Like these things are ingrained into my nature and my being, and you all have the same things that are ingrained to yours as well. And when things aren't aligned to that way, like it's like out of balance. It's like waking up and you have what's it called when you vertigo, and your balance. It's like, man, you're waking up and it feels like you're living in an existence that is with vertigo in everywhere you go. And the only way to actually get back on balance is to actually understand what you need to be back in the rhythm and the flow in which you do it. So are you engaged? Are you involved in the things that truly set you on fire? Are you passionate about them? Do you feel like you're operating with a sense of purpose and meaning in your job? Do you feel like you're operating with a sense of purpose and meaning in your relationship? And maybe, just maybe, since you don't see whatever that is, maybe that's why you feel a little distant from that person. You feel less connected or engaged when you actually show up to work. When Sunday rolls around, you're not super excited to go there and do that. It's like, man, there's something about this that I used to love that it feels like I don't love it anymore. It's the reason why you applied for the job. Are you still engaged? Are you still doing those things? Or are you less connected to the thing that in which you signed up for? I think about certain people when they get promoted, they started in one role and they loved it. I work a lot in education, and a lot of times when I work with administrators, one of the biggest frustrations that administrators have is that when they were in the classroom, they were connected, they were teaching, they were able to touch the youth and all the things and be able to make an impact in that type of way. But now when they step into an administrative role, and then it's like I'm behind the desk, and I'm pushing paperwork, and I'm still making an impact, but it's like it feels like something is off. And when I ask questions, what is the thing that you rather do? Man, I'd rather, go and observe classrooms. Why don't you do it? Well, I don't have time. Are you involved in things that are actually engaging to you? Are you showing up and doing the things that you know and you desire to do? And when you don't, there's a tax that is being paid every single day. And what we're going to find out here in a little bit is like these aren't just individual taxes, these compound. And so the last assessment that I shared with you all earlier is the attributes assessment. And it has two components to it. It has how you process things externally, but it also has how you process things internally as well. How do you make decisions and in what order? And there's empathy, which is focused on do you process people? Like, are you someone that when you go into a room, are you thinking about the impact that is being had on the people, or when major decisions that are happening in the world or in your life, and you think about, man, how does this impact the people? And then somebody makes a decision and they didn't think about how it impacts people, and you're looking at them like, why aren't you taking the people into consideration? You may have higher empathy than that person has, or you may process empathy before that person does, and you don't understand why that person doesn't see the impact that it has on people. Well, maybe they are a practical thinker. And with practical thinking, they may think results first. What we need to do, what action, what step do we need to take? And you're like, okay, I understand that this step is something that we need to do. I mean, we do have important decisions that we have to make as a family. We do have important decisions that we have to make as an organization or a company. But I want you to actually see the human sides. Think about me first. And you don't understand, like, what's the challenge that you've had getting them to see that maybe, just maybe, they have a higher practical thinking than they have empathy. And for that person, they process the practical things first before empathy. I'm going to go to the last one, and I'm going to bring this all together. The last one is system judgment. This is all about strategy. Some people are big picture thinkers. They are high in the sky. They think about like the vision and all the things that we can do. And when we put these together, these are things that are amazing. And as you can see, the way mind processes, because I said my information is here in front of you, my numbers are all the same. So that means I'm processing people, I'm processing the steps, the to-dos, while also thinking about big picture at the same time. So I can literally go between these dynamics, like, and be so much of an empath, but also be much of an executor, or also be a strategist as well. Not everybody has this equality in the way in which they process information. As a matter of fact, most people have one that is their dominant. And so you may have somebody that is a high systems judgment, which means they're always strategizing, but they may lack execution. And you hate the fact that they don't execute in the way in which you desire for them to do. Is it potentially that person is still thinking, oh man, like I'm still thinking, have I thought about everything that we need to do in order for us to take those steps? And there's an impasse when you all get in leadership meetings, or when you all are making important decisions, and potentially there's something in here that is the root cause of what either they need to process or you need to process first, and you all aren't on the same page related to that. And most people, when it gets to this particular area, there's a tax that is being paid because, number one, they don't know that this other person is processing something differently than they're processing it. They kind of take it as like a personal attack, as if you don't care. And when we understand that people have a bias, or there are blind spots that people have as it relates to their decision-making process. I remember this one time I did this assessment with this couple, and they got into an argument. They were headed to the elevator, and something happened right before they got on the elevator. And so when they got on the elevator, the one that had a high practical thinking addressed it on the elevator when there were people around. The other one, her highest was empathy. And guess what she was thinking about? Do you not see all these people that are around here? Why would you say this in front of them? The other one, who had a low empathy, guess what she said? I don't see anybody around here. I'm trying to figure out, why did this happen right before we got on the elevator? Two people enter into a conflict or enter into a situation, neither one of them aware of which these things that are actually prevalent in the way in which they process information, but they're impacted in the way in which they show up and how they would desire for this confrontation, or even for let's say just the conversation to happen. Like I wish this conversation would have happened in a different way. These things are all a part of that. And when it comes to your internal, all the things that I've shared with you, from the values and the attributes, your internals are all about how you process not the world around you, but how do you process the world inside of you. And the reality is that these things that are going on, they can start to impact the world inside of you, your internal voice, and how you start to speak to yourself. And how do you have the self-esteem and the belief that you once had about what you're doing? As you can see here, this is all about how you see your own worth and your value. How clear are you as it relates to the roles that you are in? Do you have a lot of clarity in your roles? Or do you feel like, I don't really have clarity in my roles? I feel like whether it comes to me being a husband or a wife, or when it comes to me being a leader, like there's a lot of blurry lines, and I'm really trying to figure out exactly how to find my footing. And the last one is all about self-direction. It's all about like your North Star. How do you feel about the ability for you the clarity, number one, of you reaching your destination, and number two, how confident are you about that? And some people may begin to have doubts of self because of the lack of clarity within their roles, or there's a lot of change that are going on. And there's two areas that we utilize this. One, if you're starting to doubt your direction, there's a lack of clarity in life. Like you don't move with the sureness or the passion, the vigor, and the excitement that you once had. And maybe there's something that you need to clear up. Even when we work with like leaders and teams, like if there are individuals that are very, very low in this area when it comes to self-direction, those people are, all right, they on LinkedIn. They on LinkedIn, they on ZipRecruiter. They texting their friends, hey, is there any openings over there? If they're not confident about the direction that they have, where they're at, then more than likely they are trying to pave another path. And these are all things that you can actually start to kind of like get clarity on and figure out, well, what are the things that would make somebody unclear about the direction and path in life? And what if you are able to change the environment that would now allow that person to actually have more clarity? And so, as I said earlier, like I see all these three dimensions, I see them equally. And when I'm able to do that, that's when I'm at my best. Like I'm a problem solver at heart, and I'm like using all these three things, from strategy to the steps and even the impact it will have on people. I'm thinking about all those things to make decisions. And when I do that, I'm great. But when I'm not in environments like that, I'm bored. And like, okay, I'm twiddling my thumbs, trying to figure out what it is. There are no problems. There's nothing. Like if I was just to have to do this, wake up and do the same thing over and over again, that would be very, very challenging for me to do. And that would be a tax that I'd be paying. So when it comes to what you feel is a priority, when you think about your priorities, are your priorities a priority in every single one of your environments? Yes or no? Are the things that matter to you most, like before they made that final decision, they took what mattered to you most into consideration and did not move forward until you were satisfied with the direction? Did that happen? And if that didn't, more than likely the answer to this question is no. They're not taking what matters to me most into consideration. And if so, you're paying that tax. So why is this happening? We have to understand the problem. And the reality is that most people don't have this information available to them. Like I didn't know that there was a certain environment that I needed in order for me to like be my best. And most times, a lot of other people don't know the information as well. Or what I've ran into is that there's been a lot of people that have actually taken the assessment, but they didn't like have a actual deep dive understanding of how this applies to every single area of their life. As a matter of fact, there have been people that I've worked with, and they said, man, like I've taken this before, but like, why didn't anybody explain this information to you? I don't know why they didn't. But because of that, it's like they're not connecting to how these environmental factors are impacting the way in which they show up. And so you may feel drained, you may feel frustrated, you may feel like you're in a place to where you seem a little stuck, and you're blaming yourself, you're blaming the people around you. And the reality is, more than likely, it's not any of those things. It's more than likely it's the environment. And the environment isn't structured and set up for you to succeed. And so in the work that I do, I want to be very, very clear. The thing that I'm passionate about, the thing that I'm fighting for is this. I've always shared with you all, I don't believe there's no such thing as different people. I know people talk about culture, and that's a big term and big focus for a lot of people, and I understand that. But it's not even really, it's not the interpersonal conflict. It's the environment that isn't built around you and what you need. That is what I'm fighting for. Whether it's in your marriage, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in your job, whether it's in your leadership. Like, are you leading in a way that is like, man, I feel like this leadership role fits me like a glove? Or do you not feel like you've been leading the way you desire to lead? It's like people stop like feeling or start showing up with the same energy, passion, and excitement. And the frustrating thing for me is the thing that happened to me. I started looking at myself like I was a problem. Like, well, it's not my wife. It's not everything. But the only central thing, or the only thing that's common in every single one of these things is me. And so now I'm starting to think that, man, maybe there's some type of deficiency. Maybe there's something wrong with me. And if I would have known that changing or making decisions that impact my environment would have changed the way in which I saw myself and the way in which I was able to show up, man, that would have been a complete game changer for me. And so when it comes to like creating an environment that is set up in order for you to be successful, that is set up for other people to be successful, the challenge with this is that you have a way that you show up and it leads to you being successful. Other people have a way in which they show up and it leads to them being successful. And what happens when all of ours are different? That's what we get most of the time. Not only are all of ours different, but we don't even know what to do to change it. And it just seems like it is what it is. That's why people make decisions that, you know what, this job is no longer for me. You know what, this relationship is no longer for me. I have to leave. And I don't believe that's necessary. And so people aren't impossible. Everybody is possible to work with. I know y'all may be saying, wait a minute now. Everybody? Absolutely. Especially when you identify that person as somebody that you're fighting. But as long as you're thinking about fixing them, or as long as you're thinking about that person as a problem, there's really only three solutions that you have. You can fix them, and I don't know how good you are at that. I'm pretty sure you've probably tried before, and did it work? Probably not. You can avoid them, or you can leave. And these are the three options that most people think that they have. I can either fix them, I try to fix them, I try to change them, I try to get my point across, they still don't get it. I try to say it differently, they still don't get it. I try and I try, and what? I can't get it through that thick skull. So guess what? I just avoid them. Or I leave. I want to actually introduce a different truth, that people are different, not difficult. And I believe in my heart of hearts that you deserve to love the life that you live. You deserve to love the people that surround it. And that's possible. The challenge is that when people think about the environment that is right for them, the relationship that is right for them, they think about somewhere else. They don't think about where they are. My truth and my solution that I propose to you is that you can have the environment you need right where you are. No change of scenery. No, you need to move. I got to pack up. I got to get a new. No. That if you want something exactly how you need it, there is no perfect anything anywhere. So if there is any perfect environment that exists, it has to be cultivated. It has to be created. That means that you and I, me and my wife, you and the people that are in your environment, you all have to be committed to doing the work that it takes to creating the environment that both of you all need. And that's not easy work. The first day that you and I show up, because we're all imperfect people, is the day that that environment became imperfect. And so no other job can be perfect for you. No other leadership role can be perfect for you, because the day you show up or the day that other person show up, it becomes imperfect. So if you think that there's a perfect environment out there, whatever it is, that environment that they're in, whether it's work or whether it's relationship, they did the hard work that it took in order to create that. That's the only way that they were able to experience that. And so what exactly is it that we do here? Our mission is very simple. We're here to help you develop the awareness that you need in order to understand what you need in your environment. This is the work that I've been doing with organizations. This is the work that I've been doing with leaders and teams. And there have been so many people that have been asking me, like, exactly, like, can we have more of this in relation to my marriage, or, you know, as relates to like my family dynamics? And we've really been working on exactly how do we go about doing that. And when we've been putting this together, I think this is why I've been like experiencing even the challenges of moving forward and pushing, because I know exactly how impactful this work is. We've seen the impact that it has with organizations. We've seen the impacts, but my mission now is like, how do we take this to people right exactly where they're at? That you don't have to, you know, work in a organization. You don't have to work in a school. You don't have to be a leader. You don't have to be a team. And you need this. As a matter of fact, we've been asked hundreds of times, like, can you do this with my husband or my wife? Can you come and do our marriage retreat? Because this has impacted me so much. Can you please come talk to my husband and share everything you share with me? We've heard it so many times. So that means to us, there are so many people that need this work, that need for us to be on this mission field to accomplish this, because right now they feel like that's not a possibility. They don't have the awareness to identify what exactly is going on. And not only that, they feel like their only escape is to be able to leave, to avoid. And they've tried that route, but they desperately want things to change, but don't know exactly how to do it. I come as saving grace to you to let you all know that you can have the environment you need right exactly where you are. And I want to share some proof of that. We've worked with people that have been in challenging positions. As a matter of fact, this is Courtney, one of the people that we work with in our program, and burned out. She was stuck at work and unsure of her next step. And she took the assessment. And as you can see, we're able to identify exactly why she was burned out, why she felt stuck, and helped her understand exactly how the clarity she needed to make the next her career path and her career move, to make those steps. And so she was able to do that. But even when she made that career move, which is what I've said already earlier, in her new career, in her new job, new environment, she still had challenging issues. And so we were able to work through those things too, because what? We were able to identify the real problem that she was having, which wasn't with the people. It was what? I need to know what I need from this environment, what I need to do in order for me to show up for my best. As a matter of fact, she said this was life-changing. Well, I appreciate you, Court. It's very, very kind words. Life-changing sounds pretty amazing. But this changed her life. It helped her better understand who she is. And this is a grown-up now. Do you think that someone doesn't know who they are? Like if you were to meet them and you were asked pretty much anybody you talk to, do you think people are walking around thinking like, I don't know who I am for the majority? No. But this allowed her to be able to understand on a deeper level the why behind a lot of the what's that she had done for so long. As a matter of fact, Miss Crawford, now this was right here was major. Because when I sat down with Miss Crawford, one of the first things she told me when I was telling her that there's no such thing as difficult people, she was like, that's a lie. She was ready to quit her job and everything because she had a blow up at her job. Her supervisor disrespected her in front of her colleagues. Raised his voice. I mean, all different types of stuff. And I don't want to get into too much of the details, but so much so that she was like, yeah, I'm done with this place. And when I started telling her about the work that would need to be done and how we're going to transition to stay in that environment, she said, that's not possible. And so we went from, that's not possible, that there's no way that I'm going to be able to continue to live and operate and be around this person anymore, to, oh, okay, this is actually doable for me. From one, impossible people, to identifying what the real challenge and what she actually needed. As a matter of fact, one of the things that she said is that, hey, this whole program was centered around like me not having to sacrifice who I am in order for me to get the result that I needed. And I think a lot of people feel like there's a sacrifice that has to happen of who we are in order to get what we need. And that's not what we're about here. And so I want to share with you all something that I haven't done before. And that is offer the work that we've been doing for leaders, for teams, organizations over the past 5 years, and bring it available directly to you. And this offer is very clear. It's the Advanced Insights Assessment, the assessment that allowed for me to gain clarity of all the things that I wasn't clear of before, the things that allowed me to understand my wife and who she is, and how we had that transformation first within our home. And it was through that transformation that we started working with schools, that we started working with teachers, that we started working with school districts and leaders and teams and organizations. It was all based on that transformation that I needed for myself. And then I was like, okay, since I see the impact that this had, that I'm no longer as frustrated as home, that I'm no longer unclear about who I am, I'm able to show up for myself the way I need to. Okay, this is something major. Like, everybody needs this. So you take the Advanced Insights Assessment. That's step number one of what our offer is. And that is the values and the attributes assessment. And we have resources that we're going to give to you. One of them is a complete assessment debrief. The original assessment is like 72 pages. Nobody's trying to read through all of that. We break this down into tangible, actionable language for you to understand how you're showing up, how you operate, and what is your zone of genius so you can actually thrive and be your best. You get a conflict report. What is a conflict report? Where exactly do you have tension? By the way in which you naturally show up and the way in which you naturally do things, how can you be aware of how that creates tension? Because other people aren't aligned, or other people don't naturally do things that way. And so now when I have that disagreement, I now have another perspective that says, oh, this is how I'm contributing to the conflict. Because a lot of times when we think about conflict, it's a them problem. Oh, they got an issue, it's all them. But the reality is that a lot of conflict is you. A lot of conflict is me. If I don't recognize the impact that I bring, the challenges that I bring to that conflict, that I'm going to only see that person as an issue, while that other person is seeing me as an issue as well, and there's nothing that we do to actually address the real problem. You get that too. We're also launching something that I'm so excited about, which is a 4-week coaching program. It starts next Tuesday. And it's all centered around live facilitated sessions that are going from conflict to the challenges to identifying those 3 areas to where you have environment challenges. We're going to be able to identify exactly where those are. Where exactly do you have challenges or environmental needs as it relates to how you do things? Where exactly are the needs for your motivations? Where exactly are the needs to how you process information? And most importantly, how can we bridge the gap from where you're at right now to the environment that you need? Because our goal is this, for you to be able to know exactly how to cultivate that environment. And we utilize the lens and frameworks and the trainings that we do in order for you all to be able to do that. And so you get an environment audit, which is what I just talked about. We're literally going to go in live calls. We're actually going to go through, break down your assessment for you to be able to talk about your environment. This is not just assessment. There's an assessment component to it, but there's also the lived experience. And so we're able to have the language to say, okay, in your job, this is what you need. In your relationship, this is what you need as we think about this audit. And we're able to identify those things, and you have a clear game plan on how you move forward. And then you get community access too, because we have a community of individuals that are all fighting for the same thing. And so just to be honest with you all, when I go and do this work with a team, or if I go to do this work with an organization, like, what they pay is not something that I feel comfortable charging individuals in order to do this. And so, but I want you all to be able to also receive this. And so, like, even when I think about this, like, just for this alone, Like this is valued easily at $1,300. As a matter of fact, if I'm being honest with y'all, it's actually more than that. The value of it is actually way more than that because never mind. I'm not gonna share too much. The value of it is way more than that. But we wanted to place a value on it just to be able to see the comparison between what we're offering and what the investment is of $497, which I think this is a crazy sale. To be able to, like, there's some people that just to get an advanced insights assessment, it's just $100. You get no coaching, you get nothing. I actually, a lady that's in the community that we serve in, she said she charges $500 just to give people the assessment. I'm like, that's crazy. So you have those things that are going on out there that are in the industry, and we're not only giving you the assessment, but all these other tools, and also 4 weeks of transformation too. And so we think about, okay, what are other people saying? A lot of people have had a lot of ahas related to what we do. Ms. Beverly Foster talked about how this helped her be able to engage better and have the perspective of understanding to be able to navigate as a leader and navigate her work environment so much better. Ms. Asher was here, said this was life-changing. Like she was going through a lot. Think about this. I was going through a lot in my personal life, which also affected my personal life. Sounds a lot like what we were talking about earlier. And our session spoke to me on a personal level as well as professional. She's looking forward to applying this to everything that she's doing moving forward, and so grateful for the work. And so that is exactly what we do as far as the transformation. There's no doubt as it relates to what the transformation is, but I wanted to even do something because I'm a person that wants to serve at the highest level, and I was thinking about, man, how exactly can we do this in a way that provides the most amount of value and makes it like a no-brainer that the impact that they need, they receive it. And so for the next 48 hours, we have something special that we're doing. Whether it's you and your spouse, you and a colleague, maybe it's somebody that you work with, if you actually take us up on this offer within the next 48 hours, you actually not only get everything that I share with you in this offer for yourself, you actually get this for your partner, your wife, your husband, the person that you have the most challenges with. You get that for them as well. And so that makes two of you all, the people that you interact with the most, able to walk through this process, and you all get ahas on both sides. So if it's a married couple, you're able to get his perspective, you're able to get her perspective. You all are able to understand, how do I create an environment in my home that works for both of us, all for the price of one. But that is for fast movers. That is for individuals that take advantage of this within the next 48 hours. And we're only opening up this program to 15 people. And that's intentional. Number one, we want this to be a program that allows for us to be able to have the most amount of impact. And we want to make sure that with the adding additional people like your husband or your wife or your business colleague or your co-founder, like we want to make sure that we confine this space to one to where that transformation that we've known and that we've always gotten, that it will not be any different than this. And so we wanted to make sure that we keep that a tight-knit thing. And so we opened this up to 15 people. And if those 15 people do it, and your spouse, your coworker, your colleague, whatever that dynamic is for you all too as we move forward. And so the question I have for you is this: is your environment setting you up to succeed or fail? At the very beginning, I had 3 promises. I said it's my mission for you to be able to answer these questions. And hopefully the information I've given you has given you the insight and the perspective for you to have wherewithal for you to be able to answer those. And so when you think about these 3 questions, what is your response? Is it setting you up to succeed, or is it setting you up to fail? If you feel like it's setting you up to fail, then there's really only one thing that you should be doing, which is actually reaching out, which is actually moving forward to actually work with us so that you don't feel like you're not able to succeed, and you don't feel like I'm in a position that's just setting me up to be a failure. And you can identify exactly what you need in order for you to thrive. And that is exactly what I want to do. I'm looking forward to being your coach. I'm looking forward to being your cheerleader. I'm looking forward to being that thought partner. I'm looking forward to being someone that is able to like comb through those fine tooth areas and be able to identify the thing that you've been feeling off so that you can have that same transformation that Courtney and all the others have had, where it's like, man, I was able to identify not only what I need, but exactly where I need to be going. And life feels much different on this other side. I am grateful for every single one of you all that have been here, and I'm happy that I pushed through to do this. I really do feel I'm a believer. So I told you all when I started doing this, I'm showing up. I'm showing up as me, and one part of who I am is that I'm a Christian. And so, as a believer, I believe that one of the reasons that this launch has actually been challenging, because if I'm being honest with y'all, man, there have been challenges galore as we've been building, as we've been creating, as we've been crafting, as we've been working on this. And it feels like there have been so many things that have held us back. And we're supposed to go live tonight at 7 o'clock. And tax challenges, tech issues, so many things were going on. So much so that I was like, man, like, bump it. Like, I'm not going to do this. And my wife sit here, and she was like, she poured into me. I ain't gonna lie, I had tears going on my, I was frustrated. I actually, I'm keeping it all the way real with you all. I said, like, I'm not doing this. Now, I'm not talking about not doing the live. I'm talking about, like, man, maybe, like, it's not meant for me to actually move forward with this. Like, it seems like it's been one thing after the other. Wife sat here and was like, we're going to push this back. We're going to do this tonight. Babe, you're built for this. This is what you're supposed to be doing. You know exactly who it is that's going to be impacted by this. And this is not you being frustrated. This is like an attack from the enemy that's trying to stop you from moving forward. As I shared with you all earlier, I'm someone that operates with purpose. Like, I need to be serving in the work that I do. Like, that's the thing that guides me in everything that I do. And I know that this is an area that I'm called to serve in. And I'm grateful for her pouring into me in that moment, because this isn't a conversation that we're having right now if it wasn't for her. And I would have allowed the enemy to actually win one. But that's why it's so important to have someone that knows what you need, to have someone that knows the spaces and the environments that you're supposed to be in. Because one thing that we've talked about is that me being a high I, I've been working so much that I've actually haven't had community like I desired for it to be. And when we started building this was one of those aspects of building community. And she knows that's what I need. And I love the fact that I'm actually in a marriage where my wife knows what I need and helps me push through the moments and times to where I don't even see it myself or see in that moment how I was actually moving in a direction that wasn't for me. You need somebody that is able to push you through those moments to where she knows what I need and that I receive what I need. That's why it's important for not just individuals, but for individuals that do work closely together or couples, for you all to know this, because there will be times to where you can self-sabotage. There will be times to where you can know what you need and not move forward with it. And you need somebody that is pushing, that is advocating to make sure you get what you need. And so my environment is setting me up for success, because not only do I know what I need, but I have a wife that makes sure that I get what I need. And that right there is what I want for everybody, for them to know, whether you're by yourself or whether you're with somebody, for you know for yourself, and to make sure you get that. Or if you're closely with work with somebody else, for them to know, to make sure that not only you, but y'all get that. And so thank you all for attending and showing up tonight. And I'm looking forward to fighting with you all, a group of people that will not continue to believe that people are just difficult, that it can't get better. No. You can have the environment you need right where you're at. And I love to help you get that. So I appreciate you all for showing up. And whether you're on a replay, if you comment, I'll be interacting with those. Like I said, this is something that's starting soon. And so I'm looking forward to joining you all on this journey. And I'm looking forward to making sure that you all get exactly what you need. I'm Daniel Truelove. It's been a pleasure being with you all tonight. And I'm looking forward to you all joining us on this journey. And so I don't see anybody, no comments. I see some likes or hearts, but if y'all have any questions, feel free to ask them. Whether you have a question about the program or you have a question for me, my personal journey, my wife, anything like that, I want to make sure that you all get your questions answered. And yeah, I'm here. We made it. Anybody say anything? Because I can't see. Yeah. Also, my wife, that you should see the. I didn't tell them where to go to. The link is in the chat. If you all want to join the 4-week coaching program, that's where you can go and find out all the details about it. I know I've already shared them with you all, but that's where you can actually go and take action and actually be part of the coaching program. And since I do not see any questions coming in, you got any questions? No? She ain't got no questions? I don't have any more information to share with you all. And so if that's the case, then y'all have a good night. Until next time.